Hi, this is your latest Hurricane Tracker app audio update recorded Tuesday, August 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The Atlantic Basin is heating up just a little bit as we would expect as we head into mid-August. We have two systems. The first system here is Invest 92L, located in the Western Caribbean Sea. It has a 30% chance of development within the next 48 hours and then a 40% chance of developing into a tropical cyclone within the next 5 days. Here in the eastern Atlantic, just off the coast of Africa, we have another Invest 93L, which is a vigorous tropical wave, and it is showing signs of development. Right now, 20% chance of development within the next 48 hours, and then a 30% chance up in the medium category within the next 5 days. So one of these systems will likely become the next named tropical storm, which would be Erin, and we'll take a closer look at both of these systems here in just a moment. First, we want to zoom in here on the Caribbean Sea, especially the western portion. You can see we have plenty of convection and even a broad circulation here just off of the east coast of Honduras, and of course plenty of thunder shower activity to help support development of a tropical depression. And over time, this system will gradually, slowly work towards the northwest. And most of the computer models are forecasting a depression to develop somewhere off of the east coast of the Yucatan Peninsula sometime Thursday into Friday morning. We do believe that there is a high chance that at least a tropical depression will form here sometime towards the latter portions of this week. The development would be very slow to occur. It is a very large, disorganized system. And you can see we have two areas of vorticity in the lower levels of the atmosphere. And this is where we typically look to see where a low-level center may form. And right now, the main area of vorticity is located just off of the coast of Central America, moving towards the northwest. And then another area of weaker vorticity here just west of Jamaica. Now, the future forecast track of this system is going to be highly dependent upon where the low-level center forms. If we have a low-level center or a depression form down here, the system will be much more likely to move towards the west or the west-northwest into the Bay of Campeche. If we have this area here of vorticity develop a low-level center, it would likely take a more northerly track and make landfall eventually this weekend somewhere along the northern Gulf Coast. And we'll explain why that may occur here in just a moment. Later this week, the computer models are forecasting a trough of low pressure, and you can see it indicated here by the lighter colors. And if you live up in the central or eastern United States, you'll notice the temperatures are getting cooler. So this is definitely more of a fall-like pattern, but this creates a weakness in the atmosphere, and what it does is it will allow any tropical low-pressure system, tropical storms or depressions or hurricanes, they tend to move towards lower areas of pressure, and usually troughs are an area of low pressure, so this would likely be drawn north into this weakness. And of course, the computer models show different variations of how much weakness will be up here along the northern Gulf Coast and how much ridging of high pressure we may have also here over the western Gulf of Mexico. So just to summarize, by Thursday or Friday, we do expect likely a tropical depression to form here somewhere just off of the eastern coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. For these areas down here, the Yucatan Peninsula, western Cuba, portions of Central America, this will mainly be a heavy rain and flooding threat, definitely not a wind threat down in this area. And the system, like I said, it's going to be slow to develop, and we do expect the low pressure to form somewhere here off of the eastern Yucatan. Right now, based on model support, the most likely scenario is for the system to move up into the southern Gulf of Mexico and then threaten someone here anywhere from central Louisiana over towards possibly Apalachicola, Florida by sometime this weekend. But we cannot rule out a track yet if the low pressure forms further south, and track west into the southern Gulf of Mexico is not out of the question. We'll likely know more as to where this system will move once an actual depression forms or a more defined area of low pressure. And that likely won't be until probably late Wednesday night or Thursday morning. Even if the system does move north into the central Gulf Coast, we're mainly expecting a heavy rain event as notated here by the 7-day QPF forecast. Some areas here along the Gulf Coast and into the interior sections of the southeast United States could see anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of rain, and especially if we get a tropical depression or a weak tropical storm up in here, this is going to only add fuel to the fire, so to speak. We already have a surface frontal boundary associated with that trough of low pressure lingering across the southern United States, which is going to produce copious amounts of rainfall. But again, if we get a surge of tropical moisture up in here, unfortunately, it's just going to make matters even worse and could lead to a widespread flash flooding potential here in the southeastern United States by this weekend. Before we end this video update, we want to take a look at the strong tropical wave Invest 93L off the western coast of Africa. The satellite loops out there post a new frame every 6 hours or so. So it's not the greatest loop, but we can definitely see some type of twist here. Definitely plenty of convection. And this will need to be watched very closely as a couple of the computer models are beginning to show development as the system moves off towards the west. And the Canadian CMC model is developing the first hurricane of the season here northeast of the Lesser Antilles sometime around August 20th or 21st. So this is going to need to be monitored very closely as this wave moves westward. If there's any good news, there's still a lot of dry air, a lot of stable air out here in the central Atlantic. And over time, we do expect this to moisten up a little bit as these tropical waves out ahead of 93L move into this area and kind of moisten it up a little bit. But the system will have some dry air that it will need to battle if it is to sustain in the long run. Not as much as Tropical Storm Dorian, but nevertheless, this is just a sign that the peak of the hurricane season is right around the corner, and we have plenty of time to watch this as it makes its track across the Atlantic Ocean. Finally, we just want to remind all of our viewers that if you want frequent updates with the latest information up to the hour and sometimes up to the minute, we do have 3 versions of our popular Hurricane Tracker app available. We have an iPhone app, iPad app. If you don't have an iOS device, we have a web app that runs just like the iOS apps for computers, Androids, tablets, and any other device with a web browser. Visit hurtracker.com and you'll see the information posted there. We'll be back with another video update tomorrow. We'll keep you updated very frequently here on the latest ongoings here in the tropics. Thanks so much for watching and have a great evening.